Today we are reading from In Love at Ease. This is a book about Pramukh Swami Maharaj, who was a spiritual leader to many, many people over the course of his life. He's passed away now, but he was really in love and at ease with everything, and I think we could learn from that. I know I could. We started the 3rd chapter yesterday, and now we're reading from this section called The Small I, compared to the Big I. Capital I, ego. Small I, humble personality, I guess. This chapter is called Eyeless. Capital I-less. It's written from the perspective of Yogi Trivedi, who is a devotee of Pramukh Swami. Brahma Viharidas Swami brought a small book and pen to ask Swami Shri for his blessings. He wanted his guru to write for him in English today. Swami Shri usually wrote in Gujarati. The sadhu was sure that a playful conversation and an important lesson would come of this interaction. He placed the pen and paper in front of Swami Shri and asked him to write, "I bless you." Swami Shri picked up the pen and wrote in all capitals except for one letter, "I bless you." The letter that he chose not to capitalize was I. Brahma Viharidas Swami jumped to correct Swami Shri's linguistic error. In English, the I should always be capitalized. But Swami Shri was writing with a different set of grammar rules. He was writing in tune with his own life philosophy of seva, selfless service, and bhakti, loving devotion. Swami Shri then corrected Brahma Viharidas Swami. On the spiritual path, the I must always be small. Namaste, Lily, Truth Seeker, and Nish. Conversations about identity and ego are difficult and intimidating, especially when they are read off the pages of a book. For starters, they often hurt one's own ego. Nobody likes to draw critical attention to their behavior. Moreover, reflecting in silence on one's actions incited by arrogance can be painful, for one never knows what they may uncover when they stop and introspect. It is certainly not the most popular of spiritual lessons because it can lead to the discovery of the uglier, more self-absorbed shades of oneself. Typically, our first response is to be defensive. I am not arrogant, just confident. I only act in that way to be productive and efficient. I am less conceited than others around me. Second, these concepts may seem abstract. As one of my first readers of this book said to me, is being eyeless even possible? Or is this just spiritual imagination? Is it useful? It is hard to appreciate because it seems counterintuitive to what the world expects from us and for which it rewards us. Be bold, confident, ambitious, a go-getter, we are told. The word eyeless resonates a sense of meekness or weakness that goes against everything that we are taught to do and be. Hello, Michaela. Eyeless, however, is not necessarily an achievement or the lack thereof, but a method. It lays an emphasis on how you do things rather than merely the things you do. The way in which you respond and react to success, failure, praise, and insult is the true test of being eyeless. It defines having a bold identity with a lowercase I. This transitioning to the lowercase I, the small I, makes room for the we and the us, and the source of existence, whatever it may be called in this book, God, on the spiritual path, a space that the big I, capital I, does not provide. In the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, I've heard of that one before. Sri Krishna Bhagwan, I've heard of him before. Teaches Arjuna that the only way to fully submit to him is to rid oneself of ahamkara, or I-ness. That word, which is often translated to egoity, is a beautiful word. Aham means I, and kara literally means the maker. So the ahamkara is the I maker, or here I-ness. It's not merely the ego, it is that which creates the ego or makes it. Humility and servitude to the divine and his creation are clear expressions of being I-less. In the Vachanamrut, I've heard of that before. Bhagwan Swami Narayan states that man, the mind, or in this case, the ego related to one's false understanding of the self and the body, as the body and its material possessions and relationships, is the cause of all other vices. I'm happy to hear that, Apple user. Envy, anger, lust, and greed are rooted in this false sense of ego. This is why Yogi Ji Maharaj, Pramukh Swami Maharaj's guru, used to refer to ego as the superintendent of all the vices. It is the one vice that controls all the others. If you rid yourself of this one flaw, all the others too shall follow. When one overcomes this false sense of identity, there is no reason to be possessive of one's belongings or wealth, to obsessively desire physical pleasure, to be spiteful of those who have more, or to articulate that spite in a way that is crude and hateful. To become I-less is the final step in overcoming one's innate desires and flaws, to transcend, to attain moksha, liberation. Countless on the spiritual path, regardless of their religious beliefs, have spent their lives trying to eradicate this one flaw, the ego associated with one's identity. These lessons are relevant today, especially since society is focused on building or deconstructing identity more than ever before. Who we are, how we look, what we think, and so on. This overpronounced focus on our external identity has led to pain and division, even if the initial purpose was to heal. One way to test the tangibility of this spiritual trait is to think of the problems caused by our fixation on our identity. With whom did we last bicker? How did we respond? Were we able to resolve the issue? It affects our day-to-day interactions with the people around us and with the divine. The arrogance caused by an inflated sense of self and the qualities associated with it weighs us down and prevents us from soaring like a bird, unaffected, unmoved, and uninterrupted. Swami Shri soared because he was eyeless. Pramukh Swami Maharaj had a bold identity through which he effected change in society and accomplished the inconceivable for a non-English speaking guru from a small town in Gujarat. But his small I left room for others, It did not carry the burden of his ego and desire for appreciation. He self-actualized without focusing on his personal, professional, and physical identity. He did not carry the weight of being celebrated as a saffron-clad sadhu, an expert builder, or a spiritual master to millions. Swami Shri was focused on delivering without focusing on himself. He shared credit, faithfully submitted, and patiently tolerated. His small I allowed for him to emanate a humility, humanity, and submission, which were markers of his spiritual transcendence. Like those flowers in the valley, his small I impressed and inspires others effortlessly. And let's pause our reading of In Love at Ease there for now. A lovely introduction to this part of this chapter on eyelessness. Thank you for listening. And now we may open the floor up to whatever you wish to talk about. I am your humble servant. Thank you, Nish, for your ice cream, quintet of cloud breads, and 2 music plays that you sent whilst I read. And thank you for your patience in allowing me the time to read before extending my gratitude back to you now.